Good morning to all you MotoGP fans from the Sepang International Circuit. We are live to bring you all the excitement of the Malaysian Grand Prix. Just a few more moments and we'll switch to the starting straight for the MotoGP class race.
And what have Ducati told you in terms of your input into development of the bike next year? I mean, obviously, the factory team, Pecco and Mark, well, they'll have the majority say, but I mean, I'm assuming that because you're on the same bike as them, Fabio, I know you're going to want to go back out and watch some of the bikes again, see what's going on inside the garage. Thanks for turning up. We've loved your company. Always an absolute pleasure to talk to you. We wish you well through the winter with your rehabilitation, and we can't wait to see you taking the fight on the GP25 to
not doing it again because it means that I'm on track. Sorry. But also we can make it for Moto3.
Yeah, you're always welcome. Our door is always open, Fabio.
World Championship. Fair to say he's made a few mistakes this season in a campaign where he was hotly tipped to be the Moto2 World Champion this year. Understandable, given that he is still in his teens, that the odd mistake would come for Fermin Aldeguer. But Ducati identified 12 months ago that this was a rider that they wanted to be part of their stable going forward into the future, to the point that Fermin Aldeguer was already confirmed to be on next year's MotoGP grid, essentially when the 2024 season began. Ducati have seen something in the young rider from Murcia, and I think we're all excited to see what Fermin can do on a
GP rider. He even went as far to say that he would not be surprised if in 2 or 3 years by the top 10 in 11th place. Miller's best so far of the day, a 1:41.116. That's just under 2.4 seconds away from the best time.
That was Fonzi Nieto, who's back was to the camera there, speaking to Fabio Quartararo and Jack Miller. I'm amazed that Fonzi's got any fingernails left after the win.
Yamaha, so it's great, it's good.
That sounds like half the Moto2, but it's been blown off. He's second away from Alex Marquez. Marquez has been at the top of the leaderboard for quite some time. He regained the lead from Bagnaia in the lunch break here. Ducati had to wait 1,043 days though, didn't he, for that elusive first win. It came in that memorable weekend at Motorland Aragon, one of the few full trebles in 2024. The pole voted for by the fans, the Jackie Marcostini award, and once again he went to Marc Marquez for his race-winning pass on Jorge Martin at turn 4.
Yeah, he's certainly not lacking in popularity, is he still, Marc Marquez? And he's proven, as you said, this season that the Magilla of this season, he's been absolutely outstanding as the 2021 MotoGP World Champion. Give him a bike that is competitive enough to at least race against the Ducatis up at the front, and Yamaha have got a rider who can deliver a World Championship for them. He's done it already in the past, made his way into qualifying 2 in 7 of the last 8 Grand Prix, which was not an easy job from a Yamaha point of view. But Quartararo really has stood up in that Yamaha box, stood up on the bike and just demonstrated what a phenomenal talent he is. He found it a little bit difficult over last year in particular.
Yeah, the stats don't make for pretty reading for Quartararo. No podium in 25 since Mandalika last year. He's not won or led a lap in 50 Grand Prix since the Saxon Ring in 2022. There's a bit of a hiccup here as he tried to lead pit lane for Marc Marquez. I think this might be what Jack was alluding to in our ears. Jacko, what's going on? Is this obviously some issues here for Mark?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I know that our cameras were down here, so I was imagining we're going to get a replay in a minute, right?
It's also good to have Trackhouse so committed. Looks like watching the run today is that having the 2 new riders was also a boost for Raul.
Massimo, we know you're always a very incredibly busy person. We thanks for you for taking the time to come and join us to Sepang next year to find out whether it is 89 or number 1 on that factory in Aprilia. I'm pretty sure it's going to be number 1, but yeah, we wish you and the factory all the success in 2025 and beyond.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to Sepang. Thank you there. Ciao.
Thank you very much to Massimo Rivola. Exciting times, as we mentioned then, inside the factory Aprilia garage, as they have the new lineup, Hoy Martin and Marco Bezzecchi. Are they going to be the factory? Are they the brand? Is that the pairing that can take the fight to Ducati? They believe it's a realistic goal to close the gap. Is it realistic though in Martin's first season for him to really take on the might of Ducati, and in particular Bagnaia, Marquez and Fabio Di Giannantonio on those 3 GP25s?
Well, they'll certainly be pooling together all of the expertise off the bike, with Fabio Stodicchini taking over as the technical director down there, and of course they've signed the world champion. So as far as the riding roster is concerned, they couldn't have signed anyone better to try and take the world championship next season. The rider who took it himself on his final year with the Premac team at Ducati. Well, with Marc Marquez, whose goal for next season will surely be very, very simple. He will be thinking championship for next year. For all the tough times he's been through, from a point where it seemed almost a given that Marc Marquez would
Enter is second, is first loser. He's only here for one thing. He's here to win. He's here for that 9th World Championship. It's going to be fascinating to see. Frankie Morbidelli, of course, in 4th place. We haven't mentioned Fast Frankie too much today, of course. He will be in very, very familiar territory. He's properly dialed in for this test here in Barcelona. He's on the exact same spec bike as he took the checker flag here on Sunday, not changing over from the GP24 checker flag here on Sunday, not changing over from the GP24 Ace Morbidelli. A mid 139 has been his best work so far. A few other selected names further down, as was so often the case last season. Shohei Zarco is the lead Honda rider, not the lead Japanese rider for once, because Fabio Quartararo up there in 2nd place. Where's the next best Honda behind Zarco? You've got to go down.
So far, with that last run, Marco Bezzecchi now has clocked up 82 laps of this Catalunya circuit. That is more than 3 full race distances.
Well, joining a small fairing that Pedro Costa briefly tried on the factory KTM. So what have you learned? What have you found and discovered over the part of the afternoon session, Si?
You know what, man? It hasn't changed a lot since this morning. Yeah, there's a few things, you're right, like that little narrow front fairing that they put on the KTM. You know what? There wasn't a heap. It was more riders confirming what I'd seen this morning, back and forwards. Mark spending all his time now on the GP25, which quite different chassis, and has a updated engine as well. And I've just done a few things, like have a talk, more metal out, or not put it in the first place. Further back, how it was from the steering head goes further back. That's why they put carbon fibre covers on there. That's how you can recognise the GP25. The front of the frame is all covered in carbon fibre there. But I've looked through the holes and down it. The metal is all missing behind it. It's just not showing off what they're doing behind it. It's like the unreal. You just wouldn't believe how little chassis. I think one engineer said to me that used to work on these bikes, said that the rider wouldn't get on there if he knew how little chassis there was there. It's like so thin. Yeah, crazy what they're getting away with. It's basically just putting it where it needs to be. Which one's that? It looks like they're getting back on. They're back on. Couldn't quite see properly there. But Pecco is back on the GP24. I think Mark was again there, I can't be sure. But anyway, super thin, and I have to admit to seeing it one day without an engine in it and lying on the floor, and of course I didn't get a camera out or anything, it's not correct, but again, it blew my mind that there's even less metal than I thought there was holding that chassis together. Of course they use the engine.
New chassis and new swing arm. I think that with the new chassis we've gone a little bit our way. but and also they were on V4 and now holding line. So you know, just to hear a little bit his comments. Didn't talk to Miguel yet, but you know, just to see how he was feeling.
And I imagine next time on the bike, the shakedown in around 2 months' time?
Yes, around 2 months' time. I think that you know, we will give some good time for the Japanese engineer and the engineer of Yamaha to bring a better bike for Sepang. That basically I think we'll have many things to test.
Have a good break. See you next year.
Thank you. See you next year.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Thanks very much to Fabio Quartararo. He sounds rather happy and content, doesn't he? Great news to hear Fabio Quartararo happy with the new chassis, happy with a different engine spec, and looking forward to getting back in action at the end of January at the Sepang International Circuits. Good stuff.
Well, when you compare that to the Fabio Quartararo that we've heard at the end of the final running of 2022 and 2023, that sounded like a very different Fabio, didn't it? He went away from the winter last year and the year before, really, when he lost the World Championship to Pecco Bagnaia, expecting a big step from the Yamaha on the first day of running of 2025 and not getting it. That sounded a much happier Frenchman.
Yeah, certainly more upbeat. I mean, there's been times over the last couple of years where Fabio Quartararo has lost patience with Yamaha management, Yamaha engineers. He's been dishing out a few verbal haymakers, but this year he does seem to have just reined it in a little bit. I have to say, Fabio Quartararo is a former world champion. He's such a gifted talent, such a phenomenal rider. Cannot be easy to be in Fabio's situation where you're looking at other riders on the grid and he's thinking, ordinarily I've been beating these guys, I've been smoking these guys, and they're finishing 20 seconds ahead.
The years in MotoGP have losers cool, like quite easily, you know, things weren't going right, and then as the bikes got less competitive, he's got more reason to lose his cool, but then has figured out. I guess last year he really figured out that last year was the, I think, making of how he works now. You saw at the beginning of the year he was a different Fabio, wasn't he? He just realised that it's not going to make any difference me losing my temper. We've got to work our way out of this hole, and I'm sure he gets angry at times, you know, but he works a different way. You know, he's more mature about it, more methodical, and you know, he's re-signed and is where they want to be, and I'm super excited about this new one turning up because, okay, they've got to learn a little bit more about aerodynamics and electronics, which I believe they've learned a lot over the last couple of races. And I've got to throw something in here. Electronics. Fabio has learnt something over the last couple of races with the Yamaha engineers, and clearly the direction is less electronics and more in rider hand. He's said that, and I've got to say, everywhere that Alex Rins goes, they end up doing that. It's Alex Rins' way, and he always turns up to a team, turned up to Honda and went, wow, get this electronics off, you know. They pull it right back, and then everyone starts using it because they realise Alex is doing something well this way. And I see, you know, I might be wrong, but I'm seeing exactly the same at Yamaha.